When observing the weaponry configuration of the Type 076 amphibious assault ship, the Hainan, many people find themselves wondering, why does this warship concentrate nearly half of its defensive firepower, a full 44 HQ-10 surface-to-air missiles, and one 1130 Type 30mm gun, entirely at the stern? Does its rear end have a particular fear of being hit? This seemingly unusual firepower distribution actually conceals profound considerations, rooted in the design logic, battlefield role, and survivability philosophy of this specialized class of warship. To grasp this, we must first address the inherent limitations of amphibious assault ships and the risks they must confront. First, recognize that an amphibious assault ship is fundamentally a floating landing base. Its core mission isn't engaging enemy vessels in gun battles or contesting air superiority, but efficiently and safely delivering heavy ground equipment and landing forces ashore. This inherently prioritizes throughput capacity over armor protection in its design. For vessels like the Type 076, the massive stern ramp serving as the ship's main landing bay is its most vulnerable point. Tanks, amphibious assault vehicles, and hovercraft all enter and exit through this opening. To ensure unimpeded access for large equipment, the stern structure cannot incorporate the heavy armor or dense watertight compartments typical of a destroyer's hull. Armor would add weight, impair speed and stability, and consume precious internal space. Dense watertight bulkheads would compromise the vast open structure required for the well deck. Consequently, the stern section is inherently the most vulnerable and damage-prone area of the entire vessel. A hit here from anti-ship missiles, rockets, or artillery shells would not only cause severe structural damage and massive flooding, but could directly cripple its core transport capability, potentially ruining the entire amphibious operation. This inherent design vulnerability compels designers to compensate through another approach, concentrating formidable terminal defense firepower. By deploying dense barrages of shells and missiles, they effectively cloak this weak point in an invisible protective shield. This approach parallels modern main battle tanks prioritizing frontal armor while leaving topsides relatively vulnerable, hence the addition of active protection systems. Both strategies focus on reinforcing critical threat directions when comprehensive all-around heavy armor is impractical. Secondly, we must evaluate the Type 076 within its specific operational context. Amphibious assault ships never operate alone. They typically anchor the core of carrier strike groups, or amphibious readiness groups, shielded by layered defenses from Type 052D destroyers, Type 055 heavy destroyers, and Type 054B frigates, providing regional air defense, anti-submarine, and anti-ship protection. During transit phases, threats from long-range aircraft and anti-ship missiles are primarily countered by the Aegis-equipped escort vessels and the HQ-9B long-range air defense missiles. At this stage, the Type 076 zone air defense systems remain largely on standby. However, when the fleet arrives at the target area and amphibious operations are about to commence, the battlefield dynamics undergo a fundamental shift. The amphibious assault ship must adjust its course, orienting its stern toward the landing beach, open its well deck doors, and release landing forces. At this moment, it transforms from a tightly protected core within the formation into a relatively stationary forward platform that must expose its most vulnerable sections to the enemy. Threats rapidly shift focus from the vast sea and sky to the land directly ahead. Defending this phase resembles a penalty kick in soccer. Teammates cannot directly block shots from the perimeter, leaving the goalkeeper alone to face a shot fired from a narrow angle straight on. Defense here demands split-second reactions, extreme precision, and an exceptionally high interception success rate. Threats from shore are diverse and formidable. They may include shore-based anti-ship missile launchers concealed in coastal caves or structures, long-range rocket artillery exploiting terrain cover, or even man-portable anti-tank missiles, and large-caliber sniper rifles. More concerning is the modern battlefield's proliferation of small commercial drones, easily modified to conduct reconnaissance, or even attack a ship's superstructure. These targets are often small, have short launch preparation times, and rely on complex land backgrounds. The escort destroyer's long-range radar, hampered by clutter interference, struggles to detect, lock onto, and destroy all such threats immediately. Particularly for low, slow, and small targets, long-range air defense systems face limitations in reaction speed and cost-effectiveness. This distance and direction fall precisely within the responsibility zone of the amphibious assault ship's own close-in defense systems. Two sets of HQ-10 short-range air defense missile systems, each with 24 launchers, are deployed on both sides of the stern. With an effective range of approximately 10 kilometers, they employ a passive radar and infrared composite guidance system, offering strong anti-jamming capabilities and extremely rapid response times. These systems are specifically designed to intercept low-altitude supersonic anti-ship missiles, cruise missiles, and aircraft that breach the outer defense lines. The 1130 close-in weapon system, meanwhile, forms the final line of defense with its metal storm. Capable of firing over 10,000 rounds per minute, it weaves an impenetrable barrage behind the stern, intercepting incoming missiles, rockets, and even artillery shells. These two layers form a tiered intercept network, spanning from 10 kilometers to approximately 1.5 kilometers, specifically designed to plug gaps and neutralize the final frontal threats that the outer fleet air defense network cannot fully filter out. Therefore, concentrating half the firepower at the stern is neither wasteful nor a sign of fear, but rather a highly focused, mission-specific defensive strategy. It targets the most critical and dangerous window during amphibious operations, the sudden appearance of stragglers emerging unexpectedly from the landward direction directly ahead. This configuration embodies a shrewd economics of firepower allocation. Limited shipborne self-defense weapons must be deployed, where they matter most, against the most probable and consequential threat direction, while the bow and sides also carry HQ-10 and 1130 systems to handle sporadic threats from other directions. The primary firepower reservoir is undeniably concentrated at the stern, where pressure is highest. Observing U.S. amphibious assault ships like the America class reveals a similar defensive emphasis. While specific configurations and quantities differ, the logic remains consistent: protecting access to the landing craft bay and countering frontal threats during amphibious operations are paramount. Looking further, the Type 076 protective philosophy also reflects the modern Chinese Navy's advanced concept of system-based operations and complementary functions. It openly acknowledges the inherent limitations or prioritizations of a single ship platform, as its survivability does not depend on becoming an all-purpose warrior, but rather relies on a robust fleet system. The Type 055 destroyer's dual-band radar and hundreds of vertical launch cells form the long-range air defense and missile defense shield. Vessels like the Type 052D and Type 054B handle mid-range blind spot coverage and anti-submarine escort duties. Within this framework, the Type 076 can confidently focus on its primary mission, force projection, by equipping only a highly efficient, precision-guided close protection system for its most critical, localized vulnerabilities. These 44 missiles and tens of thousands of artillery shells represent the ultimate insurance purchased for those final critical seconds and kilometers where friendly ships cannot provide complete coverage. Particularly noteworthy is the electromagnetic catapult system potentially installed on the Type 076, enabling it to operate advanced unmanned aerial vehicles like the Attack 11. These drones can operate forward, providing additional reconnaissance and active strike capabilities for the ship, further extending its perception and response range against shore-based threats. This effectively constitutes a more forward-deployed, proactive form of soft defense. Thus, the Sichuan's seemingly top-heavy firepower distribution is in fact a carefully considered battlefield survival strategy. It reflects a profound understanding of the amphibious assault ship's unique mission, a sober recognition of the high-risk phases of landing operations, and above all, a confident and pragmatic tactical choice made as part of an integrated, powerful naval system. It teaches us that the strongest defense isn't always about being fully armored, but about positioning the sharpest eyes and swiftest fists at the most critical points. At the historic moment when the dock doors swing open and a steel torrent surges toward the beachhead, the 44 HQ-10 missiles silently pointing toward the shore, and the 1130s ready to roar at a moment's notice represent this maritime fortress' most resolute defense of its most vulnerable point and its most vital mission.